Eufy claims the E18 robot mower needs no perimeter wire, no RTK, just AI. 4 months later, did it deliver or did it die trying? Going back after 4 months of real use. Now in the original video, I showed the Eufy E18 AI automotive vision technology to create a map using no RTK antenna and no wires. It was one of the simplest setups I had done at the time. But we all know new gear's exciting until real world use exposes the cracks. So what's changed in the last 4 months? How has it handled different lawn shapes, obstacles, daily wear? I've installed it on 2 other properties, and the footage you're about to see is from both my yard, and I'll walk you through a fresh install on the 3rd yard, and we're gonna get into all that and more. But chances are, if you're watching this video, you're probably serious about jumping into the robot mowing technology. So here's the 30-second spec rundown on the Eufy robotic lawn mowers before we get into the pros and the cons. The Eufy comes with 2 models, the E15 and the E18, which both have a cutting width of 8 inches, cutting heights that range from 1 to 3 inches, has a max slope of 18 degrees, and is unbelievably quiet with noises clocked in under 56 decibels. My favorite part of the Eufy, it requires no perimeter wire, no RTK antenna, solely running on the AI automotive vision technology. And as far as runtime goes, it is marketed at 70 to 90 minutes per charge with a recharge time of 90 minutes. And if you have a lawn up to 12,500 square feet, you want to choose the Eufy E18. And if you have a lawn below 8,500 square feet, you're going to want to go with the Eufy E15. The only difference between the two is the mowing range. Other performances such as batteries are exactly the same. Do these marketed specifications match up to real life? Let's dive right into the new install so I can show you. You're not completely familiar with the AI robotic mower world. We basically pre-program areas of my lawn, and the robot comes out all by itself, mows the area. If it runs low on battery, it'll take itself back to the charger, charge itself, and then resume the mowing task. What makes the Eufy E18 so special is it uses automotive robotic software and hardware to detect where it is, which means you don't need any RTK antenna, no perimeter wire. One of the greatest advantages that this mower has is you can really install the base station and the robot in some pretty tricky spots. Now, this is a pretty average home in my area, but the biggest problem that I have is where to put the base station. If you're running RTK, we have to have clear line of sight to the sky, but the robot also has to have clear line of sight to the sky too. But I don't really have anywhere that I can install it on this end. Then the fence hits, and then on this end, I've got the same problem. I've got bushes over here, and then it just immediately goes to the backyard. There's no power source. So what I'm gonna do, believe it or not, is just slam it up against the wall on this side, and then we're gonna program it. So I'm gonna do that all together with you right now, just to show you how easy it really is to use the Eufy E18. So installation is ridiculously easy. I'm gonna take the machine, and I'm gonna take the base station. I'm just gonna find a flat area, which I chose this right here. We have to have a power source. So I've got this extension cord plugged into the wall up top over there. I have my power source, my power brick here. Simply just gonna plug it into the wall. And believe it or not, we're actually ready to go. I'm gonna put the spikes in now just to keep things really simple. Put the machine on the charge station.
Charging.
That was it. I think my only concern that I might have to deal with is just these plants right next to it. But I really try to get 3 feet nothing, 3 feet nothing. Not a big deal. Homeowner's not too upset about taking these plants out as well. But I mean, look at the spacing here. Now, a lot of you guys, as I mentioned before, you're in the same situation. Just like that, we are ready to move on to the mapping. It's really just as simple. It takes us to the mapping page. We hit the play button, start the auto mapping.
Starting mapping.
It's even gonna tell us what it's gonna do.
Base station detected. Loading system.
Now, one of my all-time favorite things about this is it's gonna map automatically. Like, I don't have to use this as a remote control and kind of run around the yard. It's gonna detect everything that we have available as far as grass goes. So I left the fence open because it's going to create areas which in return I can manipulate the map into different zones when I want to. The area, which is a large one, is now fully mapped, and now we're moving on to mapping this secondary area, which is about 1,000 square feet. So to do this, I'm drawing a pathway from this zone to our new potential zone. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drive it on over here. Now I've completed driving over here, I'm gonna hit finish, and then it's gonna ask me if I wanna start auto mapping, and I do. I wanna start mapping this area. So now it's gonna go do its thing. We're officially done mapping, and there's only one thing to do: start the mow. Now, I've gotten to know the Eufy over 3.5 months on a couple different lawns, and here's what I can tell you. Yes, we've started the mow, but believe it or not, we're not done mapping. There's a couple of things that we need to do, and the best part about starting the mow, especially the first and second time, it's gonna show us where we as the homeowner need to fill in some gaps, if you will. A few of the times, this mower is going to get stuck, and that's not just this mower, it's gonna be all mowers alike, because there's too many divots and dips in the ground to make this a seamless process on this lawn. So take, for instance, I've got this valve box right here. I'm planning on the mower getting stuck in here. Most of the time it's not gonna get stuck, but I've got an undulation in this water main box that is almost 6 inches. I don't believe that it's not going to get stuck. Now there's a couple of these edges like this one right here. We've got a sprinkler that is recessed into the ground about 4 inches. So I'm planning on it getting stuck there. There's a spot in the very southwest corner that's also got a dip in the fence. I'm planning on it getting stuck there. There's another spot where it comes down the hill to the back door where we've got pavers and a gap that's about 3 inches. There's no way it's not going to get stuck there. So there's a couple of things that I can do, especially in this instance with the sprinkler head. I can go into the parameter settings and I can go straight to the edge spacing, and I can hit a plus 5.9 inches off of the edge. That's going to resolve my issue here. However, that's gonna mean that I'm gonna have to weed whack a little bit more. So in the meantime, my permanent resolve would be is to raise the sprinkler head so I don't have these issues. Now in the back, I'm gonna grab some dirt, I'm gonna throw it in the holes, and I'm gonna resolve those issues in the back. And so as the mower is mowing on the first through third time, it gives me an opportunity to solve these issues. Now, as far as the water main box goes, anything that's gonna be about 10 inches in diameter or greater, I'm gonna create no-go zones. And again, all these things are on me because the whole point is I wanna get this thing autonomous, where it can come out, do its job. I don't have to do any babysitting. So there is a little bit of work involved, and this is what I try to warn you guys at home. This is not a hands-off always process. There's gonna be things here and there, but I would say 90% of the time it's controllable if you're willing to fix the area. Now, as far as cleanliness goes, I think it was a smart decision with the color coding that they have here, because this is about how dirty as it gets. And I wash this, I don't know, every 2 weeks to 1 month because I'm that kind of a clean guy, right? But for the most part, it tracks a little bit of dust. Not too bad, but pretty easy to stay on top of. And I'm not out there scrubbing this thing. I literally take the hose, just kind of rinse it off, call it a day. So let's talk about the largest part of the slope on this lawn. And we're coming in hot at about 21 degrees is where we're at. A lot of you guys don't understand how steep 21 degrees is. This is not a slouchy steep. The Eufy's handling it very, very well. Now, there's more than just the parameter settings when it comes to the Eufy E18. Some of my favorite features are actually located in the advanced tab. The rain detection is a nice touch, but one thing I really like about it is the resume mowing. You can now change the time frame when it resumes the mow between 1 and 4 hours. Now, other things that I've really enjoyed are these smart no-go zone suggestions. So as it's going throughout the lawn, it's going to show you where problematic areas are. You've got real lawn mapping as well, which has been a good thing. However, my favorite ones have been the dangerous area detection and avoidance mixed with the steep slope detection and avoidance as well. The mowing tall grass at the edges is kind of an interesting one. You can turn this on if you want to make sure that if the grass near the sprinkler head is getting taller, it will still mow that over. As for a real life example of runtime and how much you're gonna be able to mow with the Eufy, I logged in 3,731 square feet in just under 4 hours, including recharge time on a complicated lawn. So that works out to being roughly 930 square feet per hour. So if you've got mostly open lawn, 12 hours of daylight, you're realistically looking at that 12,000 to 13,000 square feet per day. Now, the mower's rated lawn mapping capacity is 13,000 square feet per map. So in ideal conditions, it can get you there. If your lawn is close to the 13,000 square foot max map size, here's been my experience. The mower handles smaller zones way better than one big zone. If you split it into chunks of 2,500 square feet or less, you'll most likely be able to cover the whole area by mowing from sunup to sundown. And the good news is, you can do that right in the Eufy app. Creating multiple zones and assigning different schedules is super easy. And if you really want to mow daily and get the most out of your total mowable area, consider placing a second charging station in another zone, which is also a supported feature in the Eufy software, and it helps cut down the downtime by avoiding long drives back to the main base. So of everything the Eufy robotic lawnmower does well, I would say obstacle avoidance is its strongest suit. So if you have kids that leave a ton of stuff out on the lawn, this is probably your best bet for a robotic lawnmower. But I set up this giant obstacle avoidance demonstration just to show you how well it really does. We've got everything ranging from a golf club cover to a squirt gun, the needler from a halo to some traffic cones. Some of my favorites in this edition have to deal with the vacuum piece that is very small in size, all the way down to a pair of sunglasses. And I'd hate to forget the kendama that we have in the cut. Let's see how well it does. So how was that for an obstacle avoidance demonstration? I mean, look at some of these objects, so small. I mean, this is why the Eufy E18 won my obstacle avoidance favorite for 2025. It just performs, especially if you're in a situation where you want a robot mower, but you've got a little bit of a messy yard. This one is absolutely fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, move some of these obstacles a couple of inches by touching it with the front bumper or nicking it by the tire, but it didn't run it over, which is super impressive in my book. Let's get into my favorite part of the video, the pros and cons after 4 months and installs on 3 different properties. What I've learned is you can pretty much place the base station / charging station anywhere that's got an accessible power outlet because it's not dependent on an RTK signal. Now the software, it's fairly easy to use. You can create no-go zones, split areas into multiple zones, and adjust mow settings for each zone individually. The edge spacing parameter settings are a standout. So whether you wanted to hug the edge tight or back off problem areas, it's adjustable. And if you hug the edge tight, it really cuts down on the need to weed whack. Now the Eufy is extremely quiet, so unless you're paying attention, you won't even realize that it's running.
Is it running?
Not to mention, I really like the mow stripes that it makes in the lawn. It gives the yard that freshly mowed look every time. As for cons, you'll need to exercise some patience during the mapping setup process, especially if you have large yard areas over 5,000 square feet. My 2,700 square foot zone took over 2 hours to program. The machine did map the yard accurately. Technically, I didn't have to do anything. It was out doing it itself, but it'd be nice if there was a manual programming option to cut that time down. Now, in large areas, the mower occasionally does wander from one space to another, more commonly when I mapped it as one big space, but I found breaking into zones of 1,500 to 2,500 square foot chunks almost completely fixes that, and it becomes a non-issue. Not to mention the mower always went back to the areas that it missed. One little nitpicking issue is the mower doesn't automatically change directions on its own. I like this to avoid rutting in the lawn. Now you can go in there and manually change directions anytime you want, and that's why I said it's a little nitpicky thing. And at the end of the mower, if it's going back to the charger, it takes a random path back to the charge station. It'd be nice if it would follow the border edge back to the charger to not ruin those beautiful cut lines. But the good news is this: these are all minor software quirks, and Eufy could easily fix them through future firmware updates. So here's the bottom line. Hardware's solid, the robot turns smoothly, cuts clean, and supports the property size it's rated for. If you're interested in the Eufy E15 or the Eufy E18, I'll drop a link in the description of the video. And in the meantime, guys, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit me up down in the comments down below. You know I'd love to help you guys out. Until next time, guys, it's Pest and Lawn Ginja. We're slaying lawns.